Hi, it's Thursday and it's me. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. This heat is just making me go so slow, and even though it's a little bit cooler today, I still am on a go slow. You can't really see the bags under my eyes from the lack of sleep. I love the heat, but I also love air conditioning. So yes, I'm here. I apologise for being a few minutes late. I'm also, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at Facebook to try and see if I can see me live on there too. I love my new setup. It's just so cool. But is it showing me go live so I can see if they have any questions? Yes, it is. Okay, cool. That's great. So I love it when it all works out like that. Okay, so as you know, in these videos I've been going through abilities, and we've talked so far about the personal style abilities. So we've talked about, I need to stop moving the table because it's moving the camera. So I spoke about introvert, extrovert, generalist, specialist and time frame orientation. So I want to move in today to the driving abilities. So as some of you will know, the information I'm pulling this from is a test that I do with young people, which is called the Highlands Ability Battery, which I adore. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is that I think it's quite important that we sort of understand this too, because it can really make sense of things with our teenager and have us thinking possibly a little bit differently. So I can see there's, hi Stella. Don't know who else is joining me. I'm having a look here. So I'm talking about driving abilities. So driving abilities are abilities that must be used in a person. If our driving abilities are over what is called a press point and they're not used, it's almost like, you know, when we're walking around and little kids kind of, your child pulls on your skirt or your trousers going, mummy, 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 mummy. If we don't use a driving ability, that is how they feel. So ideally, we want our teen to grow up and be able to do a job or a career or whatever, using their driving abilities that are over the press point. And press point means that they're basically high in that ability. So there's 5 driving abilities. They have huge names, which I didn't come up with because they are big. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just tell you all 5 of them now and then go through them. So in the next 5 lives, that will, oh, would it be 5? Anyway, probably will. I'm just thinking of when do I go to the States, but I think we'll be okay and I'll hopefully still be able to do some while I'm out there. So there's 5, and then I'm going to go through the first one today. And they're quite mind-blowing, actually. So as I'm telling you this information, you might also want to apply it to yourself. So the 5 driving abilities are classification, concept organisation. These 2 are the decision-making and organisational abilities. Then we have idea productivity, which is probably the easier one to understand. Someone has decided to do DIY. Sorry about that. And then you've got the 2 spatial abilities, spatial being about do we think concretely or abstractly, and they are called spatial relations theory and spatial relations visualization. I know, big names. So today I'm going to go through one of the decision-making abilities, which is classification. I'm very low in classification, actually, 5%. So I don't know what it's like to have high classification, but I can tell you from working with my clients what it's like and actually doing this training. So classification is the ability to put randomly things together, pieces of information together quickly. So it tends to be how quick somebody gets something. Now, children or teenagers with low classification can often, hi Joanne, can often be at school thinking they're a bit stupid and a bit thick because it takes them a little bit longer to get something. So the ability of classification is nothing to do with how bright you are, it's how quick you can put random information together quickly. So someone with high classification will be the one in school going, I've got this, can we move on? Can we move on? Can we move on? Someone with low classification will be the child at school going, can you explain that one more time? I don't quite get it. The other ways that these play out as well is that someone with high classification, they tend to jump to conclusions quicker. They can be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive, not listen so much, and think it's like their way or the highway, because they kind of just get things really quickly. People with lower classification tend to listen more. They tend to take a little bit longer making decisions, and they tend to think things through a lot. Now, being low or high is not good or bad. That's the first thing I must say. So there's certain jobs where you really require high classification, and it's a very diagnostic ability. So if you think you walk into an emergency room and somebody sees you and you tell them their symptoms and they quickly put them together and diagnose what's wrong with you, that is the classification ability, a diagnostic ability, able to see all of the things and quickly put together a solution. Someone in the lower end of that doesn't mean they couldn't put that solution together, but it might take them a little bit longer and they might have to go away and think about it because they haven't got this diagnostic ability. What I find is that young people that are high in classification are often called uncaring, sometimes unkind, sometimes aggressive, judgmental, all those awful words that we think, which actually they can come across, particularly if you are someone with low classification. So often someone with low classification will think someone with high classification is having a go at them. This is lots of big words, but you see what I mean. So it is quite easy to kind of work out where your child is. So does it take them a while to get something, or do they get something really quickly and, then want to move on? It's a brilliant skill to have, classification, but there are downsides. Obviously, someone who's low has got the downsides of it takes them a little bit longer. So let me give you an example. So I used to be a police officer on the street, arresting people. It's a job that requires high classification. I am very low in classification. So what would happen is we'd be at a scene and we'd go in and an officer would turn to me and say, arrest that person. And I'd be like, what for? And for them, it was really clear. They'd gone there, they'd looked at the scene, they'd surveyed the scene and quickly made a decision about what the crime had been committed. I would generally arrest them and work it out in the van because it took me a little bit longer. And I remember before I actually took the Highlands test thinking that I was, God, what's wrong with me? Why am I so slow? Why does it take, I actually thought it was pretty thick, actually. Why does it take me so long? And now I just go, oh, it's because I'm low in classification. There's a program, and I'm trying to remember, Connect or Connected in the UK. With Andrew Mitchell's wife, Victoria Cohen Mitchell. I can't remember the name of it. Something to do with Connected. But anyway, it always makes me laugh, this show, when I watch it, because it's a show that, as you haven't got high classification, really difficult. So actually, yes, it's about intelligence, but it's also about whether someone's got high classification and can put random pieces of information together quickly. So back to the police. You see, I'm going all over the place today. So when I'd get back to the charging station with the person that I'd arrested, the sergeant would always smile at me and I'd say, why do you always do that? I said, because I know that when you come back, you've really thought through what you've arrested this person for. The evidence is there and it will stick. So someone who's low in classification might feel a bit stupid, might feel like it takes them a little bit longer, but actually often their decisions are much more thought through than someone with higher classification who will jump to conclusions. Now, I am not saying that if your child has got high classification, you should calm them down and make them think more, or if your child's got low classification, you should make them quicker. Really, really challenging to do that. I think it's just about knowing, so if you've got a child that is does jump to conclusions quite quickly, does get to the answer quickly and then want to move on, don't make them wrong for that. If you've got a child that is taking a little bit longer to get things, similarly, don't make them wrong for that. Classification is often the biggest thing. When I look at families where there's conflict, actually often comes from a difference between the classification ability. So either a parent's got high classification, child's got low, or vice versa, and it's causing friction. So this is actually one of the abilities that can cause most friction. So it's just something for you to think about. What I'm actually going to do, which I probably need to, hopefully I'll remember, I need to make myself a note, is I've probably got a description of it somewhere, and I have, and a visual of classification. So yeah, the only way you can exactly know absolutely where you are in classification is to take the test. But I think it's important to know it exists, and that we can figure out if our child is high or low in it. Medium, if someone's in the middle of this, it basically means they've got traits of the low and the high, and they're probably the most difficult to figure out. So yeah, I think we really need to stop making people wrong for, you know, just having an ability in something. And often people that are low or high in this do feel wrong for one reason. The people that are high will be told all the time that they're probably not very nice people, and the people that are low may often feel that they're quite slow and a bit thick and stupid. It's nothing to do with intellect. It's how quick you can put information together quickly. So if you're shown sort of 4 pictures that have a connection, how quick can you find that connection? I tell you, I can be looking at that for hours and still won't find the connection. Some people will look at that for 2 minutes and find the connection, and that's what classification is. So some jobs where we really need that, you know, jobs that are in emergency situations. Trainers often will require this, but certainly it's like them diagnostic emergency situations. People in newsrooms that are making really quick decisions will need this. It's a very quick decision making ability by itself, and people with low in it just take a bit longer to make the decisions. So yes, I'm not going to yabble on about it anymore, so I might confuse you. We'll go next week into concept organisation, which is another decision-making ability, and then we'll look at what the two of them create together. I just think it's really important for us to know that there are these different ways that people make decisions. There are these different ways that people go in the world, and we stop making people wrong for who they are. Any questions about this? I'm happy to receive them. And meanwhile, I will go off and have a look for that information that I told you I had somewhere, or at least leave myself a note so I know to go off and look for it. And I look forward to seeing you next week. I think it'll still be Thursday. I'm trying to, yes, I think it is. My head's going spinning trying to figure out what I'm doing next Thursday. I think it's still Thursday. So any questions that you have for me, I'll also be happy to answer them. I hope if you're in the UK, you are slightly enjoying this cooler weather today, and actually get a good night's sleep tonight. All right, thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.